guys, today I'm going to be recommending books to you who are new to reading or new to Booktube, and you're seeing all these amazing books that everyone has read and you've never heard of. You're just like, okay, what is this book? Where did it get so popular? And it's just overwhelming and you don't know where to start. So these are some insanely popular books that I didn't even know about, or if I did, I had no interest in before Booktube or just starting to read in general. So if you're looking for like a guide, like where do I start? Are any of these actually worth the hype? Today I'm going to be talking about those books and my thoughts on them. Also, these are only the ones that I've read. I can't read every hyped book ever because that would be insane. But these are just a collection of books that I would totally recommend if you guys want to start reading, or if you're new to watching Booktube and you're just like overwhelmed by all these books that people have read. So the first book is kind of a given. I think everyone knew it's going to be on the list, but that is the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. So I know that now Harry Potter is kind of just like a thing everyone knows about, but a lot of people just don't want to read them. And I was there. I was like, I think I was 9 years old when I first read this book, but prior to that I had zero interest in this series. I just didn't think I would like it, and then one day I just picked it up and it was amazing. Since Harry Potter is just known for being one of these really amazing series, it can be really daunting to read it for the first time, even though the first two books are pretty simple, and then it gets complicated. It gets really complicated, but there is a lot of hype surrounding these books, and it's very nerve-wracking to read it for the first time, thinking, what if I don't like it and I have to read this whole series? Well, you most likely will like it. It's one of the most best-selling books of all time. It is insanely popular, and I know J.K. Rowling is doing some dodgy things to the characters now, but just take my advice, read the 7 books. If you want to watch the movies. Don't read Cursed Child, Fantastic Beasts isn't that great, but I definitely recommend these 7 books because they are amazing and you will love them so much. I feel like everyone can see themselves in at least one character in this series, and also it helps with the whole housing situation because everyone just wants to know their Hogwarts house and you get really attached. Like, I'm a Ravenclaw and you bet, like, I use an excuse for everything. I'm gonna be in the smart house, I'm gonna talk about it. You need to read Harry Potter. I'm not even gonna give a synopsis because chances are you know what this book is about, and if you don't, well then you can Google it. There are trailers, there's movies, there's like there's like millions and millions of people who have read this, so chances are you know someone, but go out and read the series, you won't regret it. So chances are you already have read Harry Potter because it is a part of a lot of people's childhood, but a book series that you may not have read but you have watched the movies is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. These books are absolutely amazing. It has been ages since I read them. I feel like everyone should read them at least once because they are so important to the YA community, and since like most booktubers do talk about YA books, I would just recommend reading this trilogy, getting it over. You'll most likely enjoy it, especially if you enjoyed the movies. It is one of the better dystopian series out there, so I would definitely recommend this. Also, literally everyone has read them, probably seen the movies, but go out and read them. You won't regret it. So in case you've been living under a rock since 2012 when the movie came out and blew up, The Hunger Games follows 16-year-old Katniss Everdeen when she volunteers in place of her sister to compete in the Hunger Games, which is a competition run by the Capitol where 2 children from each district of the 12 districts must compete in a battle royale type competition to be the last one left alive. It's really interesting. I read it when I was like 10 years old, but looking back it did have a lot to do with like politics and propaganda and that sort of thing, which I really do appreciate, and I probably should reread again now that I finally understand this. I'm just reading it being like, oh my god, Peter! Like, no, I need to read it again. But yeah, so I definitely recommend this series. You can find them pretty much everywhere because they are so popular, but go out and read it, you won't regret it. So with the next series, I didn't even hear anything about it until I started watching Booktube videos. I feel like it's a series that you see around a lot, but you don't really have any interest in it, and then you go onto like the internet and everyone's read it, everyone's talking about it, and then like you just feel like obligated to pick it up, and that is the massive and wonderful Shadowhunter Chronicles. I'm not going to take it off my shelf because it does take up an entire shelf. But if you guys do not know, the Shadowhunter Chronicles is one massive series that is split up into smaller series. So there is the Mortal Instruments, which consists of 6 books, which are right here. City of Moses at the bottom because my friend's borrowing my other copy. And then there is the Infernal Devices, the Dark Artificers, then the new Red Scrolls of Magic, and then a few more series that haven't come out yet, plus a bunch of companions. Now, this series is massive and daunting, and so many people aren't reading it now because there are so many books, but my advice would be to split it up. So start by reading the first 3 Mortal Instruments books. If you don't like them, go to the Infernal Devices, read them. Then finish the Mortal Instruments, and then the Dark Artifices, Red Scrolls and Magic, go from there. It is so daunting but so worth it. It is my favourite series of all time, and I probably would not have read it if I hadn't been getting into books so much. And it's also really good if you're just starting out reading fantasy and don't know how to read like these massive epic fantasy books with like fairies and elves and all this stuff. I just truly recommend getting into these books because they are urban fantasy, but they are so amazing. The characters are just wonderful, and yeah. So in case you do not know what these series are about, they follow the Shadow Hunters, which are half human, half angel warriors whose job is to protect the earth from demons, and each series follows different groups of Shadow Hunters in different time periods, and it's so good. Just, you need to read them. If you've watched the Shadowhunter TV show and you're thinking that doesn't sound that great, no it's not. The show is awful. I know like a lot of people get annoyed when I say this, but the show is so bad. Like, don't judge the book by the show. I feel like all the charm of the characters isn't in the show, but yeah. If you just want to laugh and you want to cry and just want to really get invested in a series, then I really do recommend the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So even if you're not going to listen to any recommendation from this entire video, that's fine, just please read the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So with the next series, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, and that's fine, but it is very popular, so I do recommend giving it a shot, and that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. This series is so amazing. I have been ignoring it for I think 4 or 5 years because I first bought it because of Booktube in I think 2015. Yeah, so it's been 4 years, and I started it and I was like, this is god awful, so I put it down and I picked it up probably once a year until December of last year when I was starting to get back into watching Booktube avidly, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And this series was so amazing. I do think you need to push through to like at least halfway through the first book to truly get into this series, but once you do, it like sucks you in, and by Queen of Shadows I had just become such a fan of this series, and I really recommend it. The only thing with this series is you are either gonna love it or you're going to hate it. If you haven't read anything by Sarah J Maas, just go for it, try it out. You may not like it or you may like it, and that is awesome if you do. So Throne of Glass follows 18-year-old Selena Sardothian, who was an ex-assassin who got caught. So she's currently a slave in the Saltlands of Endovia when the Prince of Adarlan, I don't know how to say anything in this series, offers her freedom in exchange for competing in a competition against 23 other assassins and thieves and criminals to become the king's assassin. If she wins, in return for 2 years of service, she will be free. This series is so good, but it is high fantasy, and I do recommend if you're just starting out reading high fantasy to start with this series, because also I've just noticed all the metallic writing is completely rubbed off. So good. Go out and read it, thank me later. So with this book, I feel like everyone and their mothers and their sisters and their brothers and their fathers and their, like, just everyone has read A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you have not read this book, then congratulations. Like, honestly, how did you avoid it for this long? We all know what's gonna happen eventually. This is another pretty controversial series by Sarah J Maas, but I love it and I'm not going to apologize for that. It is also insanely popular on Booktube for either people loving it or for people hating it, but I am again one of the people who love it and I would recommend it so much. So this is A Court of Thorns and Roses. It is currently a trilogy but is being expanded in the next few years, but please go out and read this book. So the first book is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and then I don't know how to describe the next few because it gets wild, but this follows 19-year-old Feyre Archeron when she kills a fairy, and in exchange for taking their life, she must spend the rest of her life in the Spring Court in Fairy, but the humans are kind of hated by Fairy, so she's not too happy about that. This series is amazing, especially the second book. If you've read the first book and you weren't a fan, just stick it through to the second book, and if you don't like that, like, okay, you've given it a chance. I read the first book and I kind of liked it, but then I just never picked up the second book until last year. And I finally read it and I just sold my soul to this series. It's so good. I don't think the first book is anywhere near as enjoyable because the characters that are in the first book, they're not the best. Well, you know who I'm talking about if you've read this series. But once you get to the second book, that's when you sort of like unlock everyone else, and it's just amazing. Please go and read this series. You won't, well, you might regret it. But I don't, and a lot of people don't. Go check the Goodreads, okay? This wins like every single year. But no, like, go read this book. Here, take it. I have 2 copies, you can borrow one. No. Yeah, so please go and read this book. It's also being adapted into a movie by I think like Constantine Films or something. So if you want to read it before the movie comes out and probably ruins it, or maybe it's really good, we'll find out. Yeah, so go read it. Thanks. Bye. So taking a break from all my fantasy recommendations, we have The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. So let me tell you, I thought I was going to hate this book so much because I had to read it for school. I was like, it's not going to be that good, like I don't really care. Like I was just didn't really want to read a book on World War II because I'll tell you something, they're depressing. But this book tore my heart out, especially because Hans and Rosa reminded me so much of my grandparents, but even just everything about this book, if you haven't read it, I don't think anyone thinks they're gonna like this book until they get like 50 pages in, and then they're like, never mind, it's like, no, it's amazing. Like, it does take a while to get into because it is a very odd narration style. So it is actually in a second person point of view, narrated by Death, which is just amazing. Like the writing in this book is absolutely amazing, and I should probably explain what it's about, but let me just gush about this book for a second. The characters are so well done. Like, out of like the main cast, I couldn't tell you my favourite character. Like, I can't choose. Like, I sometimes will say it's Rudy, sometimes I'll say it's Max, and then sometimes it's Liesl, sometimes it's Rosa, sometimes it's Hans. I can't choose. This book is so amazing. I think I cried for 4 days after finishing this book, so it is extremely, extremely sad, but please read The Book Thief. It is so amazing. This is a book set in World War II in Nazi Germany, and it follows Liesl, who is a child. So it follows her and her foster family as they hide a Jewish refugee, and it's so good. You will cry. This book is just so well done. I feel like Markus Zusak is one of the best Australian authors out there. He definitely does not get enough credit for that. Like, this book is so beautiful. It is such an... I just can't stop. Just please read this book. You won't regret it. I don't feel like anyone wants to read it until they read it, and then they're just like, never mind, so please do it. I wasn't interested. Half the people I know weren't interested in this book, and we all turned out loving it, so please go and read this book. Do it, please. So the next books I have here are the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. So these are 2 wonderful fantasy heist books that are being adapted into a Netflix series, but they are so good. So I'm not actually a fan of the Grisha trilogy at all. I thought it was so boring. I still haven't finished Ruin and Rising because of how much I don't like Mel and Alina and the Darkling. Zoya, Genya, and Nikolai are alright, but I just really hate the main characters. I can't stand them. So I didn't have very high hopes for Six of Crows. I thought it was just going to be all that all over again, and I was so wrong. So you don't actually have to read the Grisha trilogy to read these, but it is recommended, but I didn't finish the series, I still read these 2. They are so good. So Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, if you don't know, follow a group of 6 criminals as they complete an impossible heist. They are so good. Just, if you haven't read these, you need to. I had like 0 interest in these, and now they are like consuming my entire life. Like, I have a shrine for Nina Zenick on my wall right now because I just love her so much, but I love everyone so much. I just can't choose, like, when you can't choose a favorite character from a series, that's how you know it's a good series. Yeah, these are super amazing books, and they are so different. Like, obviously they're not the only heist books out there, but this sets the bar for what a heist book should be like. Like, it's so amazing. Just please go out and read the series. You won't regret it. Thank you. Good night. At this point, it's just me gushing about all my favourite series because I pretty much read every popular book. So the next book you knew was coming because it's all I talk about, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This book is extremely hyped, and a lot of people have read it and they've been disappointed, and then a lot of people, even more people, have read it and have become obsessed, which is just like me. I feel like with hype books, they are very hit or miss. You're either going to love it as much as anyone else, or it's going to be a meh or just no, thank you, you know? But this book, please go and try it, especially if you love fairies, because Holly Black is so good at writing fairies. Just, I talk about this pretty much every single video, but go out and read The Cruel Prince, please. So this is a newer series. It only came out, I think, 2018, and it's not yet completed. The final book's coming out next year in January, but I am so excited. Like, so if you do not know, if you somehow escaped the hype for this amazing series, you probably don't know what it's about. So this is called the Folk of the Air series, and it follows Jude, who is a human girl living in Fairy, and The fairies aren't exactly the nicest to her and her family, so she tries to prove herself by becoming a knight, and nothing goes as planned, and please read this. Thank you, good night. I don't know why I keep saying this. I don't, my love for these books is so strong that I just like forget what I'm saying when I'm talking about them, and then I don't even know what's happening at this point. But yeah, please go out and read The Cruel Prince. You won't regret it unless you do, but you know what? I'm not, just, this book, this, so good, please. Especially if you're a fan of Leigh Bardugo, Sarah J Maas or Cassandra Clare, I really recommend this book and this series to you. It's so good. So the next one I have, you've probably already read, or you have at least seen the movie, because the movie has become insanely popular since its release, and that is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is such an adorable feel-good trilogy. The amount of times you will just absolutely smile reading this is ridiculous. It's just such a happy book, and if you do like the movie, you will love the books, because the movie did a really good job at these books, but the books are always better. That's the rules, it's just how it works. So obviously, you probably already know what it's about. It's about a girl named Laura Jean who writes letters to all the people she has a crush on, and then one day they mysteriously get sent out and mischief ensues. They are so adorable, especially if you just want like a really cute contemporary. I was never into contemporaries back when I first got this book. I just only got it because it has a really pretty cover, and I was in Bali and I wanted a book and it was on sale, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it. And I didn't expect this book to be this good, and I love it so much. I think I've read the first book twice now. Just, it's adorable. Please read it, thank you. So with this final series, I actually have not completed it yet. I'm only up to book 4, but it is amazing. It's going on here anyway, and that is the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series by Rick Riordan. These books are so amazing, especially if you're a fan of Harry Potter or Greek mythology. These books follow Percy Jackson from ages 12 to 16, I believe, as he finds out that he is actually the son of Poseidon and he is a demigod, and I don't want to talk too much about what they're all about because spoilers, but I always thought that I wouldn't like these because I miss like the age group when people like them, which is like 9 to 12. But boy was I wrong. This is so enjoyable no matter what age you are. I think Christine from Polar Banana Books said that she read them when she was in her 20s and she still loved them, and it's true. They're just so charming, especially if you love Harry Potter. Just Percy reminds me of Harry. It doesn't feel like a rip-off of Harry. It's just like, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, you will love these, and that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, those are the books that I would recommend when you're getting into reading and you don't know where to start. So I really hope you guys enjoyed these, and I really hope if you decide to read any of these books, you love them just as much as I do, because they mean so much to me. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!